Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanya, and in today's video I would like to discuss with you the concept of late bloomers and how it could influence the development of our children through their language learning process. If you haven't done it yet, please make sure to subscribe to my channel down below, hit the like button if you like this video, and let's start! So recently I've noticed that YouTube started having a lot of videos like 5 main things that made me a millionaire, what did I do to become a millionaire, or top 5 secrets that made me a millionaire. And in the majority of cases, what we see in the thumbnails for those videos are relatively young people who are barely 30 years old, who in the majority of cases simply share with us their life stories. However, at the same time, COVID and post-COVID eras, so far I've seen the biggest job resignation in the history of the United States. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, by the end of 2021, nearly a quarter of Americans who are between 20 and 34 years old are either not looking for the job or don't have a job. So what those people are basically trying to do is so-called repotting, according to Richard Karlgaard. He is the author of the book Late Bloomers that I would like to discuss in this video. So Karlgaard believes that the concept of late bloomers and late bloomers themselves, they are undervalued in the society, and he decided to write this book in order to support this group of people, and in order to show that even if you are if you're older than 20 years old, you still have a chance to achieve success. Among those late bloomers that Karlgaard discusses in his book are such prominent figures as Bryan Cranston, Morgan Freeman, Martha Stewart, and Vera Wang. The book starts out with providing us some background information regarding how our society started valuing early achievements. And however, what Karlgaard says is that early achievements can really be a downside. So a person can be successful early on during the life, but later on he or she simply burns out and are not able to proceed with their success. And he definitely states and is confident that we are, all of us who are trying to become as successful as possible, as early as possible, are on a constant treadmill that is not healthy and beneficial to our mental health at all. And that's, I think, what we're observing is going on in our society during the past 2 years. So since this issue directly touched my family, I decided to make this video and to record my experience and my thoughts about this. In the end of 2021, I actually decided to quit my full-time account manager job at Prince Review, despite the fact that I was quite successful at what I was doing, and I was managing contracts of close to $1 million value. However, in the end, closer to the end and close to the time when I decided to quit, I felt that I burned out, and I wanted to make a pause and to being able to reevaluate all the aspects of my life. So I unintentionally fell into this category of Americans who are trying to report into the better environment. And this late bloomers revolution that Karlgaard describes in his book, I think that it's definitely something that our society, especially younger generation, needs right now. And I'm saying it based on my experience and what I went through. And two main ideas behind this concept is that you need to attempt to slow down in your life in order to be able to reevaluate your life principles and goals, and actually do it gradually throughout your whole life. And this way you're going to become comfortable seeing success also as a gradual process that actually can be managed in a better and a smarter way by you late in life, and not in your early or mid 20s. However, personally for me, it was quite hard to make this decision for a long time. And I think the main reason for this is because people, including me, are very often afraid to repot because they think that they are not capable of change. I also think that another reason for it that really prevents people to change their life drastically, or to kind of like not achieve success as a gradual process but more like an instant event, is because we have still stigma around this concept of late bloomers, because any kind of delay in any process in the modern world is considered to be a bad thing, because we are in a constant race for immediate success. So I thought that it would be great to start teaching our children how to strive to become late bloomers from the very beginning. In my opinion, it seems like a win-win life ideology that allows us to achieve everything gradually, not to burn out, and at the same time slowly but surely move into the direction of our goals and dreams. So in his book, Karlgaard provides 6 strengths of late bloomers, like curiosity, resilience, compassion, insight, wisdom, and equanimity. And in my video, I would like to discuss 3 of those 6 strengths that could be taught through the language learning process, one of the first skills that we are teaching our children to. So the first strong point of late bloomers that we're going to discuss is going to be curiosity. In my previous video, I already discussed how sensitive our children are to everything that their parents or caretakers do, including really expectations that we set up for our children. Very often, for instance, parents who decide to raise their children as bilinguals set up very unrealistic expectations to themselves and to their children. And usually as bilingual parents and parents of bilingual children, our biggest fears are that our children are going to be really behind their language learning skills, or that they would eventually prefer one language over another and therefore not going to be bilinguals. I'm not sure if I'm going to open you a big secret, but their strive and their desire to be bilinguals, it does not really depend on the amount of linguistic and language exercises that we do with them, but more depends on our family values, our kind of style of parenting, and expectations we set up for our children. Very often what I see people who choose to follow a whole language learning system say to their children that we are not going to switch between languages, even if our child wants to talk with mom on the language that she does not talk, and with dad in the language that he does not talk. That they are not really open to code switching because they think that if they're going to stick to one language according to our whole language learning style, they are going to achieve success much faster. Or I hear bilingual parents also say sometimes that since they already decided to introduce 2 languages to their child from their early ages, they're not absolutely open to introduce another language to a child maybe at school, because they are afraid that it's going to create an extra layer of confusion. So this kind of fears and those kind of restrictions that we establish to ourselves really and to our children, those are going to be really their decisions that going to limit their level and strive to curiosity. We're really trying to do everything right very often, and we sacrifice this desire that our children might have to do something else or to do something differently from what we consider to be right. We choose write books for the bedtime, write exercises to develop speech, right timing for those exercises. Very often what I find myself doing is I start being worried when my son is occupied too long with one thing, and I feel like that sometimes he can do something else, and I'm trying to push those thoughts away from me because it's it's his decision to do whatever he's doing at the moment, but I can't really help myself. I feel like that sometimes I can push him to do something I might be interested in doing at the moment, and that's definitely another factor to discourage curiosity in your children. So what I would recommend to do, and again it's based on my experience and what Karlgaard also says in his book, is do not stand on the way between your child and his or her curiosity. Karlgaard actually, in his book, shares with us his personal life story in which he loved spending hours and hours and hours in the libraries going over different issues of Sport Illustrated magazine. And what he found quite interesting for himself is that Sports Illustrated magazines were very colorful, full of images, full of photos, full of big attractive headlines. And then when he compared those types of magazines with business magazines, he saw that business magazines definitely were lacking this part. But because he definitely allowed his curiosity to lead him in this way of discovery of those differences, right, and advantages of one type of magazine over another, that later helped him to build business. He was an editor and creator and the owner of a business magazine called Upside that really acquired instant success when it just was created. And in just 2 years, Karlgaard's curiosity allowed him to get his dream job. Steve Forbes actually offered him position at the magazine, and that became his lifetime career. So how to encourage child to develop curiosity through language learning? The first piece of advice is do not be impulsive with your target language. We are trying to make our child say mama or dada too fast, and even sometimes competing with our second halves regarding which word is going to be pronounced first. Instead, we should encourage and support holistic or so-called phenomenon-based language learning experience. We should try to spot things that our children are interested in and kind of be led by them, name those things and strengthen their learning of those words through different kind of games or interactions, right? Do not mind switching between languages if your child is comfortable to do it, and do not discourage code switching if it's also something that your child wants to do. Let child focus on one book, one activity, one game, as long as he or she wants. Even if it is for hours, if it comes to this. But let your child lead you through their development of curiosity and language learning process. The second piece of advice, ask thought-provoking questions. Verbal children express their curiosity by asking questions. So in order for us to encourage them to develop this really important skill is to ask those thought-provoking questions ourselves. Try to start your questions with what if we, or tell me about, I wonder what happened if, and try to stay away from question like where is. That is one of the most common questions that parents ask all the time, but this is the question that makes our children to complete or fulfill certain command instead of develop their curiosity and elaborate maybe on the one of the words that they are trying to say. And the third piece of advice is, even if your child is already bilingual, try to expose him or her to other language or culture. You'll never know what is going to stick and what could encourage or spark this curiosity in them. So the second strong point of late bloomers, strong quality, is compassion. Compassion is ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, and in doing so understand their difficulties and how to overcome those difficulties. So compassion is so-called empathy in action, and few of us is going to doubt that compassion is a very important quality that people in public and private lives should have, especially in such industries as healthcare, education, or justice. Yet, and here I'm going to quote Karlgaard, he says, yet too often compassion has been sacrificed in our race to early success. In the cutthroat battle for high test scores or greater wealth, many of us have lost sight of the importance of kindness and compassion. Among college students, concern for the well-being of others has been tumbling since the early 1990s and is now at the lowest point in 30 years. The conveyor belt to early success has created a crisis of compassion. So based on this definition of compassion and basically its development in the last 20 to 30 years, we can definitely say that this is one of the most important qualities that we should try to return back for our generation, for obviously our children. Again, few of us are going to instantly connect compassion and language learning skills in our children's education. However, both of those things are intrinsically connected. The child learns both of those skills from us and from our reaction to those skills. Let's say, for instance, if we're talking about language learning, if we are going to be frustrated, disappointed, discouraged, and child sees us having this kind of reaction towards their language learning skills, they would like to achieve those skills faster and faster in order to make us happy. Therefore, allow child to make mistakes and later only correct him or her, and try to discuss it with them instead of correcting them instantly. Very often we hear parents say, "That's wrong, that's how you have to say it, that's how you have to do it." Any child who is involved in language learning process knows without us there's things that he can do and he can't do. My child, being 17 months old, when he sees a bus coming towards us, screams out loud very happily, "Bus," because he knows he gets it right. He's very happy and proud of it. But the moment he understands that I don't understand what he's trying to say, he bursts in tears because he wants to be understood. He knows he doesn't get certain word. So instead of correcting them instantly, try to get into their shoes. Try to understand how they feel and what you would like other people to do if you were in this situation. So what you're definitely going to express in this moment is compassion, right? And try to also make sure that any people who are in your child's circle do the same thing, right? Because you don't want to do it right and let other people who can also influence your child do it wrong, and therefore prevent him from developing this compassion feeling. As we already know, the language learning journey for bilingual children in this case is even harder and more convoluted, but this actually allows those children to gain even bigger sense of compassion and understanding of the feelings of others. The second that they start being socially engaged, they start seeing, feeling, and understanding that they're not like others in terms of the amount of time and efforts they have to make in order to take the journey. And therefore, according to Karlgaard, actually, in facing the ups and downs of life, many late bloomers gain a greater sense of compassion. They show greater reflective thinking, diminished ego-centeredness, and a deeper appreciation of others' challenges, what psychologists call greater prosocial behavior. Prosocial behavior leads to a profounder comprehension of the contradictions, imperfections, and negative aspects of human nature, making many of us more forgiving, understanding, and compassionate. Late bloomers, by taking the more scenic route and experiencing the missteps, bumps, and bruises of life, gain connective insights and perspectives. So then we can conclude that if our children learn the sense of compassion from the very young age together with their language learning process, they are going to become a greater teachers to their peers and pass this knowledge to them. According to Karlgaard, a management style that combines compassion, authenticity, and integrity improves employees' retention and employee performance, factors that directly improve the bottom line. And a third strong point of late bloomers that we're going to discuss today is going to be resilience. Morton Shavitz, a clinical psychologist at the University of California at San Diego, says that resilience is not a passive quality. It's an ongoing process of responding to the adversity with concerted action. Harvard study actually shows that students who acknowledge the adversity they faced and kind of reframe their challenges to growth opportunities definitely kept their physical stress levels as low as possible in comparison with students who were taught or trained to ignore this adversity. So language learning process, like no other processes, can teach your child this skill if we practice it with him or her and inside our family unit. Being a parent of bilingual child, there is more than one instance per day when I can't help but think about all these difficulties that my son will have to overcome during his journey of becoming a bilingual individual. And obviously I'm trying to always find ways to make it easier for him and more pleasurable. And just recently I started thinking about such skill as resilience and how I can teach it to him and what it could help him with. And I understood that it's definitely can make his journey towards bilingualism slightly easier. So the first thing that you can do in order to teach resilience to your child is do not try to shield him or her from stress that comes with language learning process by always trying to guess what they're trying to say during those initial stages of language learning. So to try to learn or pronounce the words or phrases that you've never pronounced before can be indeed frustrating, and any of you who is watching this video and who went through the language learning process would agree with me, right? So now please imagine that the fact whether you're going to have water or orange juice for breakfast really depends on the fact whether or not you're going to be able to pronounce this or that word, right? That can be very frustrating, and very often what we do as parents, we're trying to alleviate this stress for our children by trying to guess what they're saying. We're kind of like making even choice for themselves instead of letting them make this choice, right? So next time you're going to be in this situation, instead of guessing and making this choice for your child, try to stay with your child in this a little frustration of making this choice and trying to let you know what this choice is. Try to stay in the stress, try to go through this process, through those feelings with your child, and it's really going to be very rewarded in the end. After multiple times of doing it, you're going to see that your child is trying to find out maybe a different way to express his or her feelings, or whatever he or she wants to say, or he would even use sign language or gestures, or he or she is going to attempt another time, and hopefully it's going to be successful. The second step towards resilience is do not rush to give labels to your child and his or her action connected with language learning process. Such attitude really affects how you view your child actually, and how your child views himself or herself. Try to avoid phrases like slow talker or late talker or slow reader, and all the various labels that we so rush to provide to our children as if they don't hear us when we talk with our partner about regarding their progress. Even if you feel like that you're just trying to help your child, what you're actually doing, you start encouraging them to hide those mistakes that they know that they make until they don't make them, and therefore you're going to discourage them to make this language learning process that they want to make. Instead, focus on strength-based parenting and underline your child's language learning abilities as much as you can. Actually, in 2015, the study was conducted that is called Relationship Between Strength-Based Parenting with Children's Stress Levels and Strength-Based Coping Approaches. And this study was published in Journal of Psychology, and it explored strength-based coping in a group of Australian primary school age children. And the team presented the kids with a few theoretical stressful scenarios, falling out with a friend over turns on a swing, and being the only one in class who hadn't done homework project that was due the next day. What team asked those children to do is to describe how they would respond. And the children who came up with positive responses, like for instance, they said that they're going to take a deep breath to help them cope with homework challenges, or remind themselves of happy times with their friends, and kind of use this kindness in order to decide whether or not they're going to let another person to use the swings. Those are the children who also indicated that their parents were aware of their strength and encouraged them to use them, and therefore they experienced less stress level. And another very important step that you together with your child can take towards resilience is to show your child that it's okay to ask for help. Karlgaard in his book states that the problem of early bloomers, not that they are given the credit for the success only to themselves, but that they can't really cope with setbacks. He says either they put all the blame on themselves and fall into self-condemnation and paralysis, or they blame everyone else. Late bloomers tend to be more circumspect. They're able to see their own role in the adversity they face without succumbing to self-condemnation or blame shifting. So teach your child that to build bridges and to supportive communities communities and experts is a good thing. You know your child the best. You don't have to wait and see if you think that there might be a problem with their language skills or that they are going to catch up eventually. Set up the time and visit speech language pathologist. Share with the professional your concerns, and the professional is going to be able to test your child's language skills, speech, gestures. Make this positive experience for you and your child, instead of showing to him or her that it's a last resource that you're going to attempt to use before situation becomes hopeless. Such approach is going to really instill confidence in the community that your child lives in. That's going to help with the resilience feeling as well. So in the end of this video, I would like to say that the approaches and the advices that I provided in this video are by no means going to make your child late bloomer. Anyway, each of us has our own understanding of what success is and our own path to success. I also would like to add that the advice that I provided is just going to help your child to navigate through life better and do not burn out. And I also obviously would like to say that I and my family by no means are perfect, and a majority of examples that I came up with in this video are actually taken from our daily life. So I'm definitely working on it, and I'm trying to teach our son those skills, and still trying to navigate through parenting myself together with my husband. However, the more I study this topic, the more I get assured that late blooming is not after all late, but probably most likely timely. So that was it, guys. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel down below, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!